So for a long time, I was kind of buying into this rhetoric that there was like this deep, unhealed part of me, this wound, this trauma that needed to be like excavated and healed and brought into the light in order for me to heal my skin picking. And actually what I've learned is that that belief was actually keeping healing at an arm's length for me. So I started hair pulling at a pretty young age. I was in, I think, 4th grade, and I was being bullied in school.
In 4th grade, when you were being harassed at school and I didn't realize what was going on, all your eyelashes were gone. And I remember taking you to the doctor, and she did some research, and she called me and said, I think this might be trichotillomania.
So we ended up taking me out of school, and I homeschooled from 4th grade to 8th grade, and that decreased the stress, and so the hair pulling went dormant for a long time. So it started again in my senior year of high school when I was severely bullied again.
When the bullying started your senior year, it manifested at first in your nervous, obsessive, compulsive pulling out your eyebrows and eyelashes. Basically, by the time you graduated, your eyebrows were kind of half gone.
I remember the first time I heard someone talk about skin picking, it was actually my roommate in college, and she was like, oh, I have that, but it's with my skin, I have dermatillomania. And I remember being thinking to myself, that's not real. She just doesn't know what she's talking about. I was like, sure, okay, whatever. And that's karma for you, because a few years later, I got the Nexplanon implant for birth control, and it sent my hormones completely out of whack. I started getting the worst hormonal acne I've ever had. I never had acne as a teenager, but at age of 21, I was starting to get this horrible acne. And that started a 10-year skin picking disaster. I don't know what else to call it. So over the years, I tried a ton of different strategies and techniques, everything from wearing a rubber band on your wrist and slapping yourself when you pick to different fidgets. I love silly putty, and there's all kinds of fidget toys you can get. I used to wear gloves when I drove in the car because driving was a huge trigger for me. Endless therapy, right? I did a lot of talk therapy. I did try habit reversal therapy. It was not very successful. One of the things I tried that I really did like, but just was really, really manual, manual labor kind of, was brain retraining or nervous system regulation. So I had this 7-step process that I learned from a friend's program that I do recommend, and I do think the program is fantastic. I just think for skin picking, I was having so many triggers a day that it was really, really difficult to do that program for a long period of time. And I'm ADHD, and there's a whole lot of other things. But anyways, it was basically every time I had a trigger, I had to stop and do these 7 steps that would bring my nervous system down. And then I would go back to whatever I was doing, and then I'd have to, I'd get another trigger, I have to stop and do it again. And I also had to do it in the morning and at night for half an hour to an hour. And that's just very time intensive. That's very cumbersome. It didn't feel sustainable for me to be doing that 24/7. And so I felt the solution was to regulate my nervous system, but I didn't have the time and energy to do that, and couldn't take the break that I needed to do that. And then I found a really good skin picking therapist here in Austin. Actually, my mom found her. My mom finds all the best therapists for me. She found her, sent her to me, and I started going. That was when I really learned all of the factors that contribute to skin picking. So there's motoric and sensory needs that aren't being met. There's genetic components to skin picking. Some of it sure is trauma or nervous system dysregulation, I feel is more accurate. But the goal of group therapy was always to get to a place where whether you were picking a lot or not, it just wasn't causing as much distress in your life. It wasn't ruling your life anymore. I did use a lot of self-portraiture during this time over the years to try and help show people what it might feel like to them if they had skin picking. So I'd play with different props and put things on my face just to kind of help people understand what it felt like and to help me process what it felt like. And pictures are very sensitive for people with skin picking, right? Because we don't feel beautiful most of the time. And so this self-portraiture was a way to like reclaim how we looked and make skin picking the feature, not the glitch of the photograph. So after a while, I kind of just got sick of like trying to hide the skin picking. One, because I felt like makeup never hid it anyways. Like I would put makeup on it and it still looked weird. Like you can't cover a scab. Like they just don't really cover, like, I don't know, like they're supposed to, or I thought makeup could cover them. And so I just stopped wearing makeup, and I sort of also was starting to have this like stance about makeup where I was like, it's so dumb. Men don't have to wear makeup. Like, why are women expected to wear makeup? Why is it not okay for us to just be real and be raw? And so I pretty much ditched makeup in, I think it was around 2020 or a little bit before after that, and honestly haven't looked back. Like, I think makeup is dumb, personally. I don't get any empowerment out of it. I don't get joy out of it. Yeah, I couldn't do the one thing that I wanted to do, which was hide the skin picking, so I just like gave it up, and I started letting my face just be real all the time, and that was like hard and healing at the same time. Like sometimes I would feel like, God, it sucks. Like people must look at me and wonder what the fuck is going on with her face, or like, why does she look like that? But on the other hand, it sort of took the air out of the secret, or like took the pressure off of me to hide it, and it just was like, this is who I am. Like, take it or leave it. This is such a big part of my life anyways. Like, why would I try to hide it? You know what I mean? Then when I was on retreat, I had this really big breakthrough about cheetahs. So like cheetahs naturally have spots, and we love them for that. Like that's why we love cheetahs. Like if you're a kid and you're like, my favorite animal's a cheetah, it's like usually because they have spots. Like, and so in nature, spots occur naturally in different creatures. It just depends on the creature or the plant or whatever. And I was like, why can't I just be spotted, and why can't that be okay? Like I have spots, like why can't society like be okay with that? You know, why can't I just like wear my fucking spots like a cheetah? And I did this painting, and it's digital, and so I warped the layer that had the spots on it, and it kind of became like, it looks almost like the spiritual thread kind of going through the cheetah that I really liked. And yeah, I just like loved this drawing that I had done. And not long after that, my dad randomly sent me like a care package of stuff from my childhood, of just like stuff that he was getting rid of or they were going through. And one of the things he sent me was this drawing I had done of a cheetah as a kid that I like don't remember doing, had no idea he was sending it to me. And it just showed up like weeks after I did this painting, and I was like, that's insane. Like, and so I was having this like cheetah obsession at that point. I was reading Untamed, and I was like, I love cheetahs. And it was a huge breakthrough. And yeah, so now cheetahs are like probably my favorite like representation of me and myself and my, you know, life with skin picking. And so I've hung them, I framed them together and hung them on my wall, and I love looking at them. I think it's so cool that I did those by accident and like 20 years apart or whatever. So I think the greatest gift that skin picking gave me was radical self-acceptance. Like I had to learn how to love myself despite, but also like because of my skin picking. Like I probably would have never reached those deep levels of self-love without it, because I felt like I had no other choice. Like it was the only thing I could do was like accept it. I couldn't fix it. I could not change it. Like for the life of me, I was like, I'm probably gonna have this for the rest of my life. And I got to this point where like I was okay with that. So I've been wanting to share this crazy thing that's been going on with me lately, and that is falling in love with my own skin picking. It's been a wild ride, but I have always, pretty much consistently always wished away my skin picking. I don't want to wish this stuff away anymore. I don't want to hide anymore. I don't want to not be who I am. It just kind of so happened that the other day I woke up and like my skin was no longer clear, and I was like, really kind of glad. Like I kind of missed these. So when I reached this like deeper layer of self-love, I feel like something also shifted in me. I mean, a lot of things shifted in my life. That was a time period when I was leaving a relationship and I was coming out, and I was just making different choices. Like I was just like, okay, like what I've been doing has not been working. Let's try something different. One of the choices that I made was to get on acne medication. And this was something I hadn't done because I felt like the acne was just a trigger and not the real problem, and I felt like I needed to deal with the real problem instead of like just dealing with the trigger. But at this point I was like, you know what, I actually love myself enough that like I'm done with this. Like I want to be done with this. I want to heal this. I'm done feeling and looking ugly in my mind. So I got on acne medication and it started to change really quick. Like within 3 months, I was noticing differences. My skin was looking clearer. I was having less to pick at. Within 6 months, I was like, my face is a whole different face. It's been over a year now, and like I can honestly say I never thought my skin would look this good, like ever. Like I have pictures of myself from when I had a ton of scabs still, and like I'm like now I'm like, how did I can't even believe I lived like that. Like I can't even believe that I walked around like that all the time. Like that must have been so hard. It's like I feel both ways about it, right? Like on the one hand, I'm like, it's so beautiful that I love myself enough that I didn't care anymore. But then on the other hand, like part of me feels like I gave up on myself. So yeah, haven't reconciled all that yet. But pretty much for me, removing the trigger removed the disorder for me. Like, I mean, I still pick a little bit here and there if there's a few scabs and stuff, and sometimes I pull my eyebrows out if I'm really stressed, but it's so minimal now, like it's so mild that it doesn't cause like any real levels of distress in my life. It's not in my way at all. It's not a problem, you know? In some ways, like so much has changed. Like I see pictures and I'm like, holy shit, I can't believe I used to look like that. And I don't even feel different. Like, I don't know. It's weird. Like, you'd think that energy needed to go somewhere, but it, like, didn't. I don't know. Maybe I am calmer. I do think I'm calmer. Like, I practice gratitude now while I drive, so whatever. But yeah, I mean, it's really freeing not having it rule my life. It's really amazing to, like, feel beautiful again and, like, look at my face and feel good about it. And, like, yeah, it's been weird not having it in my life. But I certainly don't miss it. I think I had to go through this because I think I needed to learn self-love. Like, I think that this was the only way I was going to be forced to radically accept myself. So yeah, I mean, I still pick. I definitely haven't fixed or healed the part of me that's a picker, but it doesn't rule my life anymore the way that it used to, and it's a part of me that's just no longer in the driver's seat. I would tell other skin pickers that it's an individual journey for sure. Like, my story might not be your story. The greatest gift it can give you is self-love, no matter where you're at with your skin picking journey. Like, it can't hurt to learn to love and accept yourself. I think that really helped me find a solution down the road. I would also say there's no shame if you never fix it or heal it. Like, that's okay, and you're still lovable, you're still worthy, and like learning how to really know that is really important. Yeah, and I don't know, don't give up on yourself.